guys, welcome to the video, and today we will be switching over to that sweet smelling beautiful jungle juice known as E85. But before we do that, we have 67 miles left in the tank. I want to get that down to as close to zero as we can before we put the E in it, that way everything runs right. So while we do a little, while we do a little driving, I want to take a second to talk to you guys about E85 and just kind of go through the thought process with you guys if you're thinking about switching to E, some of the pros and cons of it, what is E85, and yeah, hopefully we all can learn a thing or two today. So first things first, before we get too far in, what is E85? So at the dumbest level that I can understand, because I am pretty much the bottom bar for dumbness, it is essentially 85% ethanol fuel, the ethanol part being the current part, that's where that comes from, mixed with 15% of regular gasoline. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an image on the screen of the most fourth grade version of how I can understand the process. It goes from a plant all the way to gas, basically. It starts out as a plant, and then witchcraft happens, sprinkle in a little bit of juju, and then all of a sudden you're at an E85 pump at Kroger or Stripes, or some other place that sells E85. Alright guys, so first off, let's start off with a few of the pros of E85. So obviously one, being power, you're going to make a little more power with the 85 due to its octane level. So essentially 93 obviously has an octane level of 93. 85 has a little bit higher, being about 108. So you're going to make a little more power out of E85. Another cool thing about E85 is, well, not so much anymore, but it used to be a lot cheaper than regular gasoline. It's still cheaper than like 87, octane gasoline, and a decent amount cheaper than 93. You're not really saving a whole lot of money when it comes to E85 due to the fuel consumption that comes with the 85, but we'll get to that in a second. So another cool thing about E85 is its cooling properties. So the ethanol part of E85 has a really high alcohol content to it, and that kind of works as a cooling agent in the engine. So it's really good for like turbo and supercharged cars, because those cars just by nature, run really hot, just because you're forcing a lot of air into the engine super quick. And have you ever heard of a thing called detonation? Essentially, detonation is just a very unwanted secondary explosion inside of the cylinder, and due to the lower temperatures that E85 runs, it helps with that. And finally, a couple, and I'm not even going to call them pros of E85, it's just something interesting. Cars tend to sound a little different on E85, and they definitely smell different, so that part's kind of cool. So a couple of quick negatives of E85. One, fuel economy. Your fuel economy is going to drop a ton. I think some things I've read somewhere as much as 30 to 40%. And the simple reason for that is, while it has a higher octane content, you need more E85 to maintain that. And so you're burning a lot more of it than you would be burning like 93 or just a regular, full-blown gasoline. So that's one thing to think about. I never do E85 for the money. It's definitely not worth it. Even back in the day when it was a ton cheaper, probably still not worth it, just due to how much fuel is consumed to keep these engines running healthy. It's getting better, but E85 is still pretty hard to find. Honestly, the only reason I'm switching over to it, and I guess that's the only reason why, but the reason I have the ability to switch over to it is because I've got an E85 station on both sides of my neighborhood. Leaving north or south, I've got one on either side. So I will forever be able to fill my car up before I go anywhere. But that's why it's super important. VMP gave me 2 tunes. They gave me a 93 tune as well. Always keep your tuner in your car. If you're running a Lund tune, you're running a flex fuel tune, that's probably even more preferred. But just make sure you know where there's tons of apps. I'll link a couple of the apps down low, of apps that tell you where E85 is and where it's available, to help kind of plan your route on wherever you're taking your car, if you plan on running E85 the whole time. Just definitely something to think about. So, hey, gaslight, baby! 50 miles. All right, I gotta figure out a way to burn 50 miles of gas. Sorry, officer. I'm trying to switch over to E85 here. Anyways, let's burn. Hey, I got one. So we're gonna go burn these other 49 miles off real quick, and then I'll see you guys at the pump, and we'll see how complicated this process actually is. So I just want to show you, so there's the Stripes where we're getting 85 from. We're at 8 right there? Yeah, 8 miles to empty. And this is pretty much my 4th lap. Trying to get this thing down to 0, so I will update in a second. Update, this thing's averaging 25 miles to the gallon. We're at 7 miles. We're resorting to an air brake. Waste gas! Oh! Got the AC blasting. See what woo! Ooh. Die. Planet. Die now. Alright, finally we got 2 miles to empty. It was taking like 3 miles per lap I was doing, so I didn't want to push it too far. So we're at 2 miles to empty right now. So first thing we're going to do is go ahead and put the tune for E85 on the car. Make sure that I would do the tune first, only because you don't want to put the gas in the car, then the tune not work, then you're screwed. So make sure you get the tune loaded up first, then put E85 in the car, and then we'll see how it goes. So we'll get the tune uploaded, and I'll catch you guys after we fill up. What I just got done doing is updating my tuner. So a lot of them are different. So I've got a Wi-Fi based tuner, so basically all my tunes are in the cloud. So what I did was use my phone as a hotspot, updated my tuner, and now we're about to put the tune on the car. Okay, so now what we do is get nervous, because this is the first time I put the tune in this car, and just hope it starts. Seems okay so far. Okay. Well, guys, that's all you're supposed to do. So, I'm gonna take it. There's definitely still sub 93 in there. So I'm definitely gonna take it super easy on the way home. So I'll catch you guys in a different video to kind of show you what it's like under wide open throttle and stuff like that. But there you go. There's E in my car. And it's running. Hopefully it stays that way. Stay tuned in the next episode. See you guys later. Bye.